She saved a dying puppy from criminals and disappeared. Years later, she was invited on live TV to tell the story. But halfway into the interview, the host shouted, "Look!" The screen switched to a live feed, and a dog suddenly charged toward the camera. The puppy was already dying when Amara Cole saw him. He lay behind a dumpster at the back of a roadside market, half covered in rain-soaked cardboard, like someone had tried and failed. To hide the evidence of cruelty, his fur was matted. His belly looked sunken. His ribs showed like thin lines under skin. And when his eyes blinked, it was slow, exhausted like the world had already defeated him. Amara froze. Around her, the evening traffic roared. Shop owners shouted. Horns blared. Life moved like nothing was wrong. But everything was wrong. A small crowd stood nearby, watching like they were staring at trash. "Madam, leave him," a woman said, waving her hand. "That dog done almost die." A boy kicked a stone close to Puppy's head, testing if he would react. The puppy didn't move. Amara's throat tightened. She had worked as a nurse in the city for years. She'd watched humans suffer. She'd watched people beg for life. She thought she had seen pain in its purest form. But this was helplessness. A man stepped beside her, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a plain jacket with an animal rescue badge. His name tag read Director Kane. Darius Kane ran the biggest shelter and rescue center in the state. He was known for being efficient, tough, and annoyingly cold-hearted. Many people admired him. Some feared him. Amara had joined his volunteer program only 3 weeks ago after quitting the hospital, hoping to heal her grief by saving other lives. Darius stared down at the puppy and spoke like a judge. "Leave it," he said. Amara spun toward him. "What?" Darius didn't blink. "It's done. He's too far gone. We have limited resources." Amara's voice shook, but he's still breathing. Darius replied, calm and firm. "Barely. And saving one dying puppy could cost medicine that can save 5 healthy ones. That's how rescue works." Amara stared at him in disbelief. Then she stepped forward anyway. She crouched down, ignoring the wet ground, and gently touched the puppy's neck. His skin was hot, feverish. His breathing came in small, uneven gasps. When she lifted his head slightly, he whimpered so softly it felt like the sound was coming from inside her own chest. Amara swallowed hard. "I'm not leaving him," she said. Darius sighed like she was being childish. "Cole, he's a life," she snapped. "And if we can save him, we should." Darius looked at her for a long moment, his eyes hard as stone. Then he reached into his pocket and tossed her a disposable glove pack. "Fine," he said, "but don't blame me when reality breaks your heart." Amara didn't respond. She carefully lifted the puppy. He was so light it terrified her. As she held him against her chest, the puppy's head tilted weakly and pressed into her like he knew the warmth meant safety. Something inside Amara cracked. She whispered, "You're going to live. Do you hear me? You will live." At the shelter clinic, the vet took one look and cursed under her breath. Severe dehydration, infection, malnutrition, possible internal bleeding. Amara's heart dropped. "Can you save him?" The vet, Dr. Nia, hesitated. "We can try, but he might not make it through the night." Amara shook her head fiercely. "He has to." Darius stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "You haven't even named him yet," he said. Amara glared at him. "You don't name dying things?" Darius replied flatly, "Names create attachments." Amara turned back to the puppy, her fingers brushing his wet fur. She whispered, "Then I'll be attached." She named him Shadow, because even in his weakness, he looked like a small dark spirit refusing to disappear. That night, Amara stayed beside Shadow's warming box. She fed him small drops of electrolyte fluid. She cleaned him. She watched the monitor like it was a sacred altar. At midnight, Shadow's fever spiked. His tiny body trembled. His breathing grew shallow. The monitor began to beep faster. Dr. Nia rushed in. "He's crashing." Amara stood up, panic flooding her. "No, please." They gave injections, oxygen, fluids. Then Dr. Nia stepped back and said the sentence Amara feared most. If he keeps suffering like this, we may have to put him down. Amara felt like her heart stopped. No, she whispered. Please don't. Dr. Nia's eyes softened. Amara, sometimes mercy is letting go. Amara shook her head violently. Tears rose fast. Give him 1 more hour, she begged. Dr. Nia hesitated. 1 hour won't change. 1 more hour. Amara insisted, voice breaking. Please. Silence. Then Dr. Nia nodded. 1 hour. When the clinic went quiet, Amara sat down beside Shadow again and began humming softly. Not for science. Not for magic. For love. Shadow's eyes fluttered open just a little. Amara leaned close and whispered, People always say kindness is weakness, but I think kindness is the strongest thing left in this world. Because cruelty is easy. Anyone can be cruel. She swallowed, tears slipping down. But to care when it hurts, that takes courage. Minutes passed. Then Shadow made a sound. A small cry. Amara froze. Shadow. His chest rose stronger. His eyes opened wider. And slowly, painfully, he lifted his head. Amara gasped and laughed through tears. Yes, that's my boy. Shadow's paw pressed weakly against her hand. Amara cried harder, shaking. He was alive. He was choosing life. But just as hope returned to the room, the clinic door slammed open. A rescue officer ran in, face pale. Director Kane. Darius entered behind him, alert. What? Darius demanded. The officer swallowed hard. We've got trouble. Someone was spotted outside the shelter. He lowered his voice like the words carried danger. Man, watching the clinic. Amara's blood went cold. Then the officer added, and they asked about the puppy. The shelter became a battleground overnight. Cameras were checked. Doors were locked. Rangers, now security guards, patrolled with flashlights. Darius moved like a man preparing for war. Amara sat beside Shadow, refusing to leave him. Who would want him? She whispered. Darius answered with a terrible calm. Dogfighting rings. Amara's stomach dropped. What? Darius's eyes sharpened. Some criminals steal dogs, train them, break them, then use them in fights. Amara clenched her fists. But he's just a puppy. Darius nodded once, which means he's easy to mold. Amara felt sick. So they dumped him, then came back? Darius stared at Shadow. Or they never dumped him. Maybe he escaped. The thought hit Amara like fire. Shadow wasn't abandoned. Shadow was running. From monsters. That night, Darius announced they were relocating Shadow to a private foster unit. But only a few people would know the location. Because there was another terrifying truth. Someone had already leaked information. Amara overheard the whispered phone call herself. A staff assistant named Milo stood near the supply room, half hidden. Amara approached quietly. Then she heard Milo whisper, Yeah, he's still here. Tonight, I'll tell you where they're moving him. Amara's entire body turned to ice. She backed away, but stepped on a plastic bottle. Crack! Milo spun around. Amara? He said too casually. Too smoothly. Amara forced a smile. I was looking for gauze. Milo stared at her for a heartbeat too long, then nodded. Sure, he said. Be careful at night. Amara hurried away, shaking. At midnight, the relocation started. Shadow was placed inside a secure crate, warm blankets, and a small oxygen tube attached. Amara rode with him. The vehicle moved quietly through dark streets toward the foster unit. But halfway there, headlights appeared behind them. 2 vehicles, then 3, then 4. The radio crackled. Darius's voice burst through. We're being followed. Do not stop. The drivers accelerated. Then gunshots exploded. Amara screamed, clutching Shadow's crate. Shadow whimpered in terror. The transport swerved. Tires screeched. A bullet shattered the rear window. The driver yelled, They're closing in. The chase turned into chaos. They took a sharp turn into an abandoned construction road. One of the criminals' cars hit a pile of sand and flipped. But the others kept coming. Amara's mind raced. If they reached the foster unit, everyone there could die. Darius shouted on radio, "Abort route!" New plan. The driver turned into a narrow dirt path leading into farmland and bush. The criminals followed. Then bang! Their tire burst. The vehicle jerked and slid into a ditch. Amara slammed against the door. Shadow cried out. The criminals' engines roared closer. Amara's heart pounded so hard she thought it would tear her chest open. Darius's voice crackled urgently. "Amara, get him out! Into the bush!" Amara unlatched Shadow's crate. He was trembling, eyes wide with fear. She lifted him into her arms and ran. Branches tore at her skin. Thorns scratched her legs. She stumbled but didn't stop. Behind her, men shouted. Flashlights swept. "Find them!" a man barked. "The puppy is worth money." Amara dropped into a shallow trench, pressing Shadow close to her chest. "Shoo!" she whispered desperately. Shadow trembled. Then something happened. Shadow growled. Softly. But it was there. A warning. Even scared. Shadow had a fire inside him. The criminals paused. One man said, "Did you hear that?" They searched nearby. Amara held her breath. Shadow's growl deepened. The men backed off slightly. Fear. They didn't want to get bitten. Amara realized something. Even weak. Shadow still had courage. She whispered, "Good boy." By dawn, Darius caught one of the criminals. They tied him to a chair inside the shelter security room. His face was bruised, eyes full of hatred. Darius leaned close. "Who sent you?" The man laughed. "You're protecting money, not a dog." Darius slammed his fist on the table. "Who?" The man smirked. "Someone you trust." Amara's stomach sank. Darius's jaw clenched. "Name him." The criminal spat. "Milo." Amara gasped. Darius's eyes narrowed. "Where's Milo?" The criminal smiled. "Already gone. And he'll come back with more men." Amara clutched Shadow tighter. "What do we do?" Darius looked at Shadow, then at Amara. His voice was cold, but his eyes softened. "We disappear him." Amara frowned. "Where?" Darius answered. "We train him. Then we move him far away. Somewhere nobody can find him." Amara blinked. "Like adoption?" Darius shook his head. "Not yet. If he's adopted now, they'll track him. If he stays here, he's dead." Amara whispered. "So what?" Darius looked her straight in the eyes. "We turn him into what they fear." 5 years passed like an ache that never left. Shadow survived. Not only survived, he became strong. Darius trained him in a secret rural facility. Shadow learned obedience, protection, survival. Then Darius relocated him to a private farm sanctuary far away, under a fake registration and new identity. Amara never saw him again. She left the shelter soon after, heartbroken but proud. She returned to nursing, burying herself in hospital shifts to avoid feeling the emptiness of not hearing Shadow's paw steps, not seeing his eyes, not knowing if he was happy. She dated once or twice, but nothing lasted the moment someone raised their voice. Her brain flashed back to gunshots and chase lights. Some nights she dreamed of Shadow barking, trapped, calling her. She always woke up sweating. The only reminder she kept was a small scar on her wrist, where Shadow scratched her in panic during the chase. She touched it whenever she felt alone. Then one afternoon, an email arrived. Live TV invitation. Heroes Among U.S. They wanted to interview Amara as a former animal rescuer. Her story had gone semi-viral online years ago. Nurse saves dying puppy from criminals. Amara stared at the email for an hour before replying. Her friend Leah begged her. "Amara," Leah said, "people need stories that remind them humanity still exists." Amara whispered, "What if Shadow didn't survive? What if this brings back pain?" Leah held her hands. "Then you tell the truth. That love isn't always rewarded, but it always matters." Amara accepted. The TV studio was bright and loud. Cameras. Audience, makeup artists. Amara's palms were sweating. The host, Malcolm Ray, smiled widely. Amara Cole, he announced, the woman who defied logic to save a dying puppy. A video played, Shadow as a weak puppy, shaking, eyes barely open. Amara's throat tightened. Malcolm asked, "Why did you save him?" Amara answered softly, "Because he was helpless, and helplessness should never be punished." The audience clapped. Malcolm leaned forward dramatically. "Amara, what if I told you Shadow is alive?" Amara froze. "What?" The audience gasped. Malcolm smiled. "Tonight, we have a surprise. A live feed." Amara's heart pounded like thunder. The screen behind him switched to a farm sanctuary. A handler stood with a microphone. He whistled, "Shadow." At first, nothing happened. Amara's eyes filled with tears. Then from behind a barn, a massive black dog stepped out. Tall, strong, scarred. His eyes were sharp. Amara covered her mouth. "That's him," she whispered. The dog paused, then lifted his head slowly and stared directly into the camera. The studio went silent. Amara couldn't breathe, because it wasn't just a dog looking at a screen. It was recognition, memory, like he had been waiting for this moment. Then the dog started running, straight toward the camera. Amara shot to her feet. "Shadow!" she cried. On screen, Shadow ran closer. Faster. The handler backed away, stunned. "He's never done that," the handler shouted. Shadow reached the camera and jumped up, paws against the camera stand. His nose pressed against the lens, as if he was sniffing through it. Then he let out a sound, not a bark, a whining cry, like a child finding a lost mother. Amara collapsed into tears. Malcolm whispered, "He knows her." Then another figure appeared on screen. Older, broader, familiar. Darius Kane. Amara sobbed harder. Darius stared into the camera. "He never forgot you," he said. Amara shook her head. "How?" Darius replied softly, "Dogs don't forget the hand that saved them." Shadow barked once, loud, like agreement. Then suddenly, movement in the background. A vehicle appeared at the farm gate. Then another. Darius stiffened. His radio crackled. "Director." Suspicious cars outside. Amara screamed, "No, not again." Malcolm shouted, "Security, cut." But it was live. The whole world watched. Darius ordered guards to block the entrance. Shadow's ears rose. His body shifted into protective stance. The criminals tried to force entry. Shadow charged. Like a bullet, he slammed into first man and knocked him down. The criminal screamed. Shadow barked fiercely, standing between them and Darius like a shield. Guards rushed in and tackled the criminals. Handcuffs clicked. The leader shouted, "That dog is mine." Darius roared back, "He was never yours." The criminals were arrested live on television. The studio audience erupted. Amara sobbed uncontrollably. Relief, joy, disbelief. Darius walked to Shadow and knelt. "Good boy," he whispered. Shadow turned and looked into the camera again. At Amara. Then he wagged his tail, slow, emotional, like he didn't care about cameras or claps or history. He cared about her. Amara whispered, "I'm so proud of you." Malcolm's voice trembled. "Amara, what do you want to say to him?" Amara leaned toward the mic, tears shining. "Shadow, I didn't save you because you were special." She paused. "I saved you because you were helpless and you deserved a chance." She smiled through tears. "And look at you now." On screen, Shadow barked softly, like he understood. Darius spoke quietly. "She taught you love. That's why you protect." Amara looked into the camera with shaking breath and delivered the moral lesson that sealed the story. "I used to think kindness was small." She swallowed. "But kindness is powerful because it creates loyalty, courage, and miracles." Shadow turned away, then walked back toward the barn, not as a victim, not as a stolen thing, but as a protector, a survivor, a legend born from compassion. Amara whispered one final line. "Go, my boy. The world is cruel, but you were raised by love. And in that moment, millions watching understood the truth. The day you choose compassion might become the day your life gets saved too. If this story touched your heart, please tap the like button. It helps this message reach more people. And comment below. Do you believe animals can truly remember love? I read every single comment. Subscribe if you want more powerful stories like this. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you.